Hello Cloud Gurus and welcome to this lecture. In this lecture we're going to look at how we can use the AWS command line to interface with AWS and specifically we're going to go into our S3 buckets and list them. So the first thing we need to do is go into Identity Access Management and we're going to create a new user. So I'm just going to click here and say create new user and I'm going to call this my S3 user. I'm going to hit create, and when you create a user it generates their security credentials, so we click here to show them. You can download them. I'm just going to cut and paste them into a text file. There we go, and now I'm going to close this down. So that's fine. Now I'm going to go into my groups. You can see I've already got an S3 group created. I'm just going to create it again just so you can follow how we do it. I'm going to call it my second S3. Hit next. And then I can give the group admin access, power, user access, read-only access, etc. I am going to go all the way down and just go to simple storage service. So S3 full access. I'm going to hit select. You can see it produces this policy document, which basically the statement is effect, allow, action, S3, everything, resource, everything. So this is allowing me full access to S3. I'm going to hit next and I'm going to create my group. Now that I've got my group created, I'm going to assign a user to this group and I'm going to add my S3 user. Okay, so that's it from an identity access management point of view. Now I have provisioned a brand new EC2 instance. It doesn't have any roles attached to it, so I'm just going to tab over to that and I'm going to connect to it. So there we go, I've connected in. I'm going to elevate my privileges to root and I'm going to clear the screen. Now this is using the AWS AMI, which comes with the AWS command line tools pre-installed in it. So if I was to run AWS S3 LS, this would normally list the contents of a bucket. Now it's not going to work because at the moment it has no role assigned to this EC2 instance and I haven't stored any credentials, or I haven't basically set up the command line. So it says unable to locate credentials. You can configure credentials by running AWS configure. So let's do that. Okay, so it's prompting me to enter in my access key ID. I'm actually just going to hit enter here and it's asking me again for my secret access key, so I'm going to hit enter. My default region name, I am going to enter this in, so because I'm based in London it's EU West 1, and then I'm just going to hit enter for the default output format, and if you do hit enter it will default to JSON. The other options you can have is also text. So the reason I didn't enter it in there is I just want to actually show you where it's saved. So if we go back to our root directory, go to our tilde and then to our .aws, in here you can see that there's a file called config. If we'd entered our credentials it would also sometimes create a file called credentials, but you can store it all in one file. If you do have two files, so you have a credentials file and a config file, credentials always overrides the config file. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to edit this nano config, and in here I'm going to type in my AWS underscore access underscore key underscore ID is equal, and then my AWS underscore secret underscore access underscore key equals, and then if we just go back to my notepad, cut and paste these out. We just go up here, then grab this one, so my secret access key. So think of your access key ID as your username and your secret access key as your password, and then that's the region. And so I'm just going to hit Control X, save, and hit enter. And now if I clear the screen and if I type AWS S3 LS, you can see it is now reading the contents of my S3 bucket. So this has been saved locally to this directory. The reason you don't want to do this normally is that it can be a massive security risk. If this EC2 instance was hacked, the hackers could get my my keys, so my access key and my secret access key, and then they can connect into my S3 buckets from anywhere in the world just by installing the AWS command line on their computers. So the only way to stop them would be to delete the keys, which is exactly what I'm going to do once this lecture has finished. So do bear that in mind. The safer way is to use roles and not save any credentials locally, and that's what we're going to do in the next lecture. So if you've got the time, please join me in the next lecture. Thank you.